All right, welcome into Before Floor here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Why is everything moving so slow? Is that me or is that you or is that am I still
That's
on Los
you.
Angeles time? It is me, right? I'm the one lagging. Actually, Greg's moving fast. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at 5 Reasons Sports. Next to me, Jonathan Roblicon. You can follow him at 3-Piece Combo. Ricky J. Mark, no longer bothered by the logo. You can follow him at Ricky J. Mark. Brady Hawk 305. Alejandro Villegas, Alejandro VG 32, and of course our friend Greg Sylvander. You can follow him at Greg Sylvander. We are sponsored, as always, by our friends over at Biscayne Bay Brewing. Biscayne Bay Brew, the official beer of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, Miami Marlins, and they have kiosks at the Heat Arena. They're just waiting for you when you come back. 100 level, 300 level. Get the best beer. Get the Tropical Bay IPA. This thing is outselling everything else at Whole Foods. That's all you need to know. Marlins Lager. That's people who, I don't know if they know beer or not, but they know healthy stuff. They like the IPA. Marlins Lager, the Pastime Pilsner, the La Colada Porter, the Miami Pale Ale. They keep adding more beers. That's right. So go check them out here at all the local stores, your Publix, your Whole Foods, your restaurants. It was at the Quarter Deck, which we were the other night, which, by the way, next watch party, they cannot lose this one. It's in Detroit on the 23rd, right before Thanksgiving. 23rd, right before Thanksgiving. It's a Tuesday night. It's going to be at the Quarter Deck in Davie. But by the way, this is about Biscayne Bay Brew, but you can get Biscayne Bay Brew at that watch party, or you can bring it if you want to drink it with us in the parking lot. You can do that too. So get Biscayne Bay Brew. Also sponsored by a friend, Mark Brown, markbrownpa.com, MARC, brownpa.com. This is where you want to go if you need estate planning or you need any kind of legal services. He does this here at his office. There's the nice gentleman there, right there north of Cypress Creek, off of Andrews. That's in the North Lauderdale area, right down the street from Pinecrest, where Brandon Knight followed in my footsteps on the basketball court. So you can go catch him at markbrownpa.com, MARC, brownpa.com, and schedule a consultation with him. Mention 5 Reasons. It, of course, is free case evaluation. 954-566-5678 will also help you handle the closing on your house, condo, or anything else. Does a better job there than anywhere else, and he will give you a great deal. So markbrownpa.com. Get personalized service, not some big bank. Go to Mark Brown, let him handle it for you. MARC Brown, PA, or 566-567-8954 area code. All right, let's get to it. The Heat are finishing their road trip. I've already come back, so I am not to blame for what happens tonight. But I also want to say I did not watch a minute until I came back because I recorded it. I did not watch a minute of the Heat-Utah game. Not a minute. I was at Santa Monica Pier. There was no NBA TV on anywhere, and so they won.
Thank God.
I am watching tonight, though, Brady, and what's happening? Let me know.
Yeah, so this is a packed report. No Jimmy Butler, which I wonder if he would have rushed back if they lost that game in Utah. But obviously now they won. He's out tonight. Another guy, Bam Adebayo, is out, which Spoelstra mentioned. His injury didn't get worse, but it also didn't get better, which I think that's just playing OKC. They're not going to mess around. They're just kind of going to keep him out just precautionary-wise. And obviously 2 more is no Markieff Morris, who's back down in South Florida still, and no Marcus Garrett, who got brought up from the Sioux Falls stuff. So I think the interesting thing, Jimmy Butler, no Bam Adebayo. I'd expect Tyler Hero to stay in the starting lineup as he's been for Jimmy Butler. And I think this is a case where you start your best players in Oklahoma City and you probably go with Dedmon.
My real concern here, Greg, is BetUS. I got to bet on Tyler Hero for 6th man of the year. He's starting to play too many games in the starting lineup. I'm not feeling this. I don't know at what point. What is it, 10, 15, that they start not to give him the nod for that? Voters are not.
It may be even more than that. I don't know. I think it's like percentage of the games that you've played off the bench, and so I think your bet will be preserved. But this is a night for Tyler Hero, right? I also think if there ever could be a Duncan Robinson bounce, like double bounce back, it would be tonight. I mean, like, let's just say this. This is why I'm confident going into tonight, even with no Bam and no Jimmy. Like, when I look at the last box score for the Oklahoma City Thunder, there's no disrespect to these guys, but they got guys named Dort, Giddey, Baisley. I'm going to throw one at you. Jeremiah Robinson Earl. They have a dude named Aaron Wiggins. Like, these are people that I have not had the opportunity to watch in great length. So a couple of them, but like, I think the Heat should be able to get this despite no Jimmy and no Bam.
Well, they got a lot of draft picks, Ricky. That's for sure. They can't suit those guys up tonight. I wonder how long Sam Presti's going to keep this going. Dort's a good player, though. I mean, I feel like we've seen him defensively. He's become a much better long range
Giddey
shooter.
too.
He couldn't do that. And Giddey is a prospect that they, for good reason, they really like, who handles the ball well. With that being said, I'm with Greg on this, Ricky. I mean, I know it's the end of a long road trip. I know you can see Miami in the distance. At this point, it's pretty far distance from Oklahoma City. I'll say that culturally and everything else. But I think I mean, you can allow yourself to relax after getting the win, but this team didn't have the type of road trip that allows them to do that, right? So, I mean,
No.
Regardless of who's not playing, the guys who are playing tonight need to win.
Yes, absolutely. This Heat team has had an up and down road trip. They should have won those 2 games in Los Angeles, but they didn't. Thanks for that, Ethan. Nice.
No problem.
La Colada. Like, what is that? But here's the thing, at this point, where we're at right now, this Heat team is on their, they're getting ready to go home. I think if this were a younger, less experienced Heat team, you would be worried about a potential letdown at the end of this road trip. But I have a good feeling about tonight. Even so, some reason, like a bird, like a very wise bird, is telling me that apparently the Heat are favored by 6.5 points. I don't know where this information is coming from.
Maybe
it's
more
just
than that,
like
actually.
The air or something. I don't know. It's weird. These information just comes to me. But yeah, at this point, look, this team, I think it's still a veteran team. I expect them to go out there and frustrate Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that's the cousin, because the cousins are similarly named. I expect them to give him the same kind of treatment that they gave Luka Doncic just a couple weeks ago. And it should be a get in there, get out. Don't let them get too close, because we saw what they did to LA, and just finish this road trip and come back home.
Jonathan, we talk about who needs to pick it up, and we're looking, and we'll read. There's some of the comments who come in here who send us cash. We'll get to them. 500 on the game, money line. I hope you did it on BetUS, is all I say. Would you or not? Man, I don't want to be responsible for that. What is the money line tonight? It's got to be like minus 500, right? Or something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I would quite play that. We'll get to that in the picks.
If you got it like that, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I guess.
Send some more money over here.
Well, I was going to say, send the 500 to us. I mean, if you're going to send more than the $2, but we appreciate it. Jonathan, note to you. We talked before the season about wanting to kind of pace Kyle Lowry, right? Like not put him through too much. Well, now basically he's had 4 games. He's got 4.5 games without Jimmy Butler, which means that he has to handle more of the ball handling. They don't have a backup point guard. Let's just be honest. I mean, they don't. I think we all like Gabe personally, but it just is not there yet, right? At this point, I don't know if it's going to be there. And now you have more of a scoring burden on Lowry too, because you don't have Bam or Jimmy. Are you concerned at all about burning him out too early in the season here? Because, again, what the plan was and what it's become?
No, I'm not too concerned. I mean, first of all, he's getting paid a lot of money. So this is kind of what we want him to do. When Jimmy and Bam is not out, he's going to have to be the de facto leader. So in these games, in these situations where like we saw last year during the whole COVID situation, these games would have been scheduled losses regardless of who we were playing. But now that we have Kyle Lowry, coming in and Tyler Hero stepping up, and the guys around him seem to rally a little bit good, Duncan Robinson coming in as well. This is the situation that he has to step up and fill in, like regardless of, what happens. And we always want to play and save for the playoffs, and that's always the Miami Heat way of thinking. But we still need to make sure that we take care of business. And at the end of the day, I think he's going to be able to do that for us.
Brady, so who starts, I guess, right? Because you don't have Bam. You start Dedmon, bring Yurts. I mean, they're running out of bodies here, right? Like,
yeah.
Caleb Martin's going to play for Jimmy. You figure Gabe gets some minutes in the backcourt. You can go small against this team. Well, I was going to ask that. Like, if KZ doesn't play now, like when, right?
It's over if he doesn't play tonight.
I feel like we've had too many of these games already, though. Obviously not to this extent, because this is even more. But he's had chances to play. Like, you had Udonis Haslem stint for, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. They trusted him in a pretty decently big game. So I think they do start here. I think they start Dedmon, but the bench is going to be really just slim. You look at Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Omer Yurtseven, who's another guy I think that fans want to see and we all want to see him play. But Spoelstra hasn't really trusted him to the same extent that I thought he would this season. So it's kind of odd there. And I think obviously Gabe Vincent will probably slot into the backup, point guard slot. So this is a game where I think you don't want to burn out Kyle, but I think it's a game where you play Tyler a ton of minutes. I think he's running with different lineups so he can have the ball in his hands. It's probably going to be how they run Jimmy and Kyle is how they're going to play Tyler and Kyle. They're going to try to kind of stagger those two a little bit to see what they can do. But I still think they have a good chance of winning. It's interesting enough, the last time Miami played in OKC, I think last year was on the last game of a road trip. I think Miami was without Goran and Tyler in that game. They're two big bench pieces. So it's like it's kind of similar in that same degree. and Miami ended up getting that win. So I think if they just be able to stagger those a bit, and you don't have an off Duncan night, or you don't have Tyler, not scoring, or you have Kyle kind of being passive, you kind of have all that fall to, come together tonight, then I think you're okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, Greg, to the point, like, I think for KZ, to a certain degree, it is over. I don't know if you want to showcase him against the team you're trying to dump him to necessarily, because if he doesn't look good tonight, right, like, this was one of the places that you thought maybe you could offload him. But additionally, I do think for a guy like Yurtseven, this is the kind of game you want to see something. He's not going against top-level NBA players. Like, he should be as good
as the young guys on their bench. You're right.
Correct. Right. So, I mean, he's got to be playable tonight, and I would anticipate that maybe you don't have Morris either. So, I mean,
he's playing.
He's playing, right?
Yeah. I think Dedmon is going to get a lot of run. I think Dedmon has earned Spo's trust to the point that he'll get starter-level minutes in a game like today, no questions asked. But Yurtseven has an absolute path to get a lot of minutes. I don't think that they're going to get cute with the UD stuff. This is like a young team, so I feel like they're going to approach it differently than when it's Dwight Howard out there. Then Spo knows he has to send in UD to clobber his ass. So it's just a different matchup. And something that was touched on earlier about Kyle and kind of carrying the load in a different way and doing it alongside Tyler the way Jimmy does. This is a cool stat. So through the first 13, there is only 3 Heat players that have 150 points, more than 75 assists, and 50 rebounds. Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, and Kyle Lowry. I thought that was pretty interesting. I know we make up these stats out of nowhere, but, so he's really doing it all, and we need him to fill it up tonight.
Yeah, and if you want to just look at stats, Duncan Robinson is really good in his last game. So let's see if that can continue for another game. And I know we've all said, Brady, we thought it was coming at some point here, but again, this is the type of game that you would think it would happen. Who do we think that who does Dort start on tonight? Tyler, Jonathan, right? And make his life as uncomfortable as possible. Oh, I think Jonathan's muted.
Yep, you're right. Yeah, I think that's what he does. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a pretty good fit for Lowry, right? He's not as big body, but he has the length. So I think Dort just trying to live and make a living hell for Tyler Hero is going to be what his job is going to be. We've seen the job he's done on players like, of course, James Harden's taking a step down this year, but we've seen what he's done to James Harden. He's a really good defender, and I feel like he can make Tyler Hero have a quite inefficient game. So it's going to be up to Hero to pick his spots, decide when he's going to facilitate, when he's going to decide to score, and I think that's going to be dictating of how the efficiency of Hero's game is going to be tonight.
Yeah, some of those miracle shots are going to have to go in.
He's going to dominate Dort. Come on.
All right, so let's get – I got 2 questions for you guys. Answer the questions quickly and in order if you can. I'll start here with you, Brady. And again, thanks to our sponsors, Biscayne Bay Brewing, MarkBrownPA.com, to everybody who's contributed here with comments. We try to get them up. And like I said, if you send us some cash, we definitely read them and we'll answer your questions. Brady, first question is, and answer these together. If they win tonight, how do you characterize the road trip? Do they win tonight?
I don't think it's a great road trip just because I don't like what I saw late game in the 2 games in LA. Like, I think without Jimmy Butler, everything's going to look off at the end of a game because he's kind of the guy, no matter if you have Kyle Lowry or not, he's the calm piece. But I think you're a little worried in that aspect from overall. If you're 2-3 and you were without Jimmy Butler in that span, the last game you were without Bam Adebayo, I don't think it's as bad as probably many would look at it to be. Obviously, they fell off from the first seed, kind of went down in the rankings a little bit there. But I think it's not terrible because now you're going back and it gets a little lighter. I don't know if that's better or worse for Miami because we know easier games, kind of the trap games for them. But obviously, you're going into a game against the Pelicans, the Wizards twice, who are hot right now, but it's still a game you should win. So it seems like it's getting lighter. So I don't think it's terrible 2-3. And I do think Miami wins tonight. I think this is another Duncan Robinson game. I'm not throwing any numbers out there, but I think I said before I wasn't going to say he was totally back after the game. I think it was a big game for him. But 2 games in a row where he kind of shoots the ball well is when you know he's officially back. Like, he needs a 2-game span where he's confident, and it's not like, it just fell that one night. Now he puts together a string of games. That's why I think this is a big game. No Bam, no Jimmy. He's going to get a ton of shot attempts. Maybe have a decently efficient night, and I think Miami wins.
Yeah, I think Miami wins tonight. I'll go to Greg next. I think they salvage the road trip tonight if they win and Duncan shoots well. I feel like if they come back to Miami with his head back on straight, because you do look at that schedule, And you mentioned the two Wizards games. I think the Wizards are the typical start fast, early fade team. That just like Cleveland and Washington are those. There's always a couple of those. It was Sacramento a few years ago. There's always a team that jumps out and they're better than they were, but they fade back to the pack. I think that's both of those teams. So you look at the schedule. The next 10, I only see like one playoff team in there for Miami that I'm expecting to make the playoffs. Not fight for the play-in, but one playoff team. Like, they can get healthy in a hurry. We've talked about this. The big three, everybody points to Bumpgate and the argument in Dallas and everything else and Dwayne leaving the locker room. You know what really got that team going? They played shit for the next month and a half. They didn't play anybody. Their next 22 games, they had like 3 games against playoff teams. They won 21 out of 22. Schedule dictates a lot of times. And I think if they can come back 2-3, Jimmy's healthier, Duncan's head is healthier, I think they'll feel okay about it. Greg.
I'm with you. I think that they get tonight's game. And if you tell me that they're then 9-5, they lost 2 games when you talk about in the standings on this road trip. But considering all the circumstances, thank you for parity, because there's still only a game and a half to a game out of first place in the East. So it's like, to that point, if Duncan's head is on any straighter, it doesn't even need to be 100% straight, but straighter, continuing to go in that direction, and they get another victory. The Utah game I thought was pivotal. This one, if they were to lose, it almost kind of nullifies what happened in Utah. So they got to get this one. And then I think the road trip is pretty much salvaged.
Yeah, and I keep playing back the 2 LA games in my head, Jonathan, and like I can't believe they lost both. I mean, the jokes about me being in the building or not, like both of those games, there was a time I was like, okay, they have this under control.
Yeah.
And then it got away. Like, they should have split at the very least. So again, getting to Utah is a makeup game, a game we didn't expect. And when Denver, we knew was a scheduled loss. Our watch party, it being in Denver, everything that went into that. By the way, I don't want to say who, but I was hanging out with a couple of the officials after the second loss, the Clippers, and one of them found out that day he was assigned. I'm not going to say who, obviously. He was assigned to the December 29th game, and his reaction was, shit. So he found out he was assigned to Nuggets Heat. They know what that's going to be like. Jokic brothers or no Jokic brothers. Jonathan, those 2 questions. Do they win tonight? And if they do, does it salvage the trip?
Yeah, so I do think they win tonight. I think the experience of this team is going to just far exceed the youth and inexperience of OKC. So I do think we get it done, and I think that will help salvage this trip. Now, like you said, the Utah game and Duncan shooting well, that's a big part of it. So I'm not going to just echo those same points. I think another big point that we can take out of this road trip is Tyler Hero playing well on the road. We've seen him a lot of times fluctuate his play in between playing really, really well at home and being really inefficient and indecisive on the road. I feel like seeing him take over really as that next scorer, that next level scorer, doing it at all 3 levels, at the rim, in the mid-range, and doing it from 3. I think that's another big takeaway that we can take away from this road trip is we have a legitimate guy in Tyler Hero. Like you said, he's odds-on leader to win 6th man of the year if he doesn't keep starting more games. And this road trip showed the legitimacy of what his run has been early in the season.
That's a fair point. Ricky?
Yeah, I agree. Well, I would call this road trip, regardless, mediocre, but trending upwards. This was a learning experience for this Heat team. Of course, you get full blame for the 2 losses in LA. But as we saw in those games, we saw this team hang with a loaded Lakers team and go out to a fast start versus a kind of lesser Clippers team that is still competitive. I think this will benefit the Heat in March and April, even though record-wise it might not make them look good right now. But I think, it's fine. Tonight, regardless of tonight, I think this part of the season is more about getting this team in the right frame of mind and just the right chemistry state in order for them to be ready to plow through the Eastern Conference and get to the NBA Finals next spring. So I think this Heat team will be fine.
All right, that's fair, Ricky. By the way, prize picks, Kyle Lowry, a lot of players were not on the board tonight, but use the code 5, Kyle Lowry, 15.5 points. Dave, and I all liked that, assuming Jimmy was going to be out. Now that Bam's going to be out, we all like that even more. So Kyle over 15.5. It's not like they've got a bunch of other options.
It's up to 17.5 now, Ethan.
I should have got in then when we said it. Here's this one comment. This comes in from Jason. We'll always read these. We can't say Tyler is perfect 6 man if he's playing just as well. The starting lineup. That's a conversation we're going to have for another day. It is perfect for this team, I think. It may not be perfect for him long term. That's a discussion that we're going to have because he's playing himself certainly out of the typical role there. But I always come back to this. Manu Ginobili was perfectly happy winning a bunch of championships coming off of the San Antonio bench, okay? There is a precedent for this, and Tyler's obviously putting up elite numbers. I put it up today on 5 Reasons Twitter. His numbers third season are Devin Booker numbers. Look them up. They're Devin Booker numbers across the board, okay? And Devin was doing that on a bad team. Tyler's doing that on a pretty good team so far, so it looks up. By the way, thanks to Enzo for commenting here. Yes, he got the 5 Reasons hat at our last watch party at Quarterdeck. We're having another one on the 23rd. And Enzo, thanks for the hospitality the other night as well. You never know where these nights go after watch parties. Anyway, for Greg, Brady, Ricky, Jonathan, we appreciate all of you. Spaces at halftime with Sean and Tony and Marco and the crew. Post-game pod with me and Greg. He is staying up for this one. It's an 8 o'clock start. No excuses for this one. 8 o'clock. I'm still on West Coast time, so I'll be fine. 8 o'clock start tonight for the game, and we'll have the pod up for you before 11. Post up 5 hour afterwards. Have a good night.
Yeah, it was Pace and Spaces is the one that we're doing at halftime, right, Ricky? There you go. You have your
yes, sir.
Your beautiful.
I'm going to disappear now.
Go.
Thank you for
boom, that. Poof. There you go. So Ricky's out, and now we continue with the pregame show. Let's play for you guys some particular show that we did with Ethan Skolnick today, talking a little bit about the bets and what you can do for tonight's game.
For a special edition of 5 Reasons to Bet, you can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick in the 5 Reasons Sports. You can follow Jim Rodriguez at J-Rod Show. We're always sponsored on our betting platforms by BetUS.com. That's BetUS.com. Make sure you use the code 5. You get a 125% bonus. They got the best live betting platform, and you can bet the game right now, the one that we're talking about. You can bet it right now at BetUS.com. Just sign up with the code 5. All right, let's get to it, Jim. We've got the Heat in Oklahoma City finishing up a 5-game road trip. They lost in Denver. They lost both in LA. I happen to be present for both of those. Both games they should not have lost. Now they get Oklahoma City after surprising Utah without Jimmy Butler. That was a big shocker of the trip. They can kind of, save this trip, I guess, if they finish up 2-3, with the win over Utah. We kind of thought they'd be 2-3 or 3-2. But again, we don't know about Jimmy's status yet. 8.5-point favorites on the road as we're speaking. OKC has played people a little tougher than some have anticipated this year.
Yeah, and the number is what's troubling to me. The Heat are laying 9 points at US.com. You got a team on the back end of a West Coast road trip. They can almost see Miami from Oklahoma City.
You can't see Miami from Oklahoma City. I've been to Oklahoma City. No.
It's not the end of the world, but you could see it from there, right? Listen, my man Jason Jackson, I saw him at the Rocky Patel Burn Lounge smoking a nice cigar. So that immediately tells me the Heat are focused. Listen, I think Miami wins this game, but I think it's too many miles. Jimmy Butler up in the air. I'll take Oklahoma City plus the 9. I like Oklahoma City getting the 9 points just because they're at home, just because it's a long road trip for Miami, a lot of miles, a lot of up and down in the air. 208 is the over-under. I like the over 208.
Yeah, I do too.
I think there could be some points here, but I think Oklahoma City covers those 9 points. And Jason Jackson, you owe me a stick from the Rocky Patel Lounge. There's one in Fort Myers in Venice. We should go to that one.
Yeah, Jason owes me a lot more than that. But anyway, J-Rod Show is where you can follow him. Again, the Heat giving 9 points tonight at OKC. Right. Jim says go against it, but he still likes the Heat to actually win the game at BetUS.com. Use the code 5.
Smoke them if you got them, Jason
Jackson. All right, so here we go. Let's continue with our pregame show here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. The Miami Heat facing the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight to finish the West Coast trip. Then they're going to be back here Wednesday, Thursday, and back in Washington on Saturday. Let's continue listening now to some of the press conferences after we read some of you guys' messages. Let's say Tyler is a great play. Ryan says how to maintain leads. That's been a problem, especially against the Utah Jazz. Good thing that there have been both wins. Don't trust the Heat with the lead. Manu Hero. Jose. Thank you, Jose. Bryce Blackwell says 305. Yo, get this W. And with that, we'll continue now with more videos, now with press conferences from that game. A couple of nights ago, Saturday night, when they beat the Utah Jazz 111 to 105 in the road. So let's continue.
High class problems. Okay, learning how to hold leads on the road. I would much rather be in these kind of positions to be able to try to figure this out, which we are getting better at that, than the opposite, trying to get back from big leads. And then secondly, I just thought this was probably one of our more mentally tough wins. It was a quick turnaround after back-to-back and have an afternoon game. I know the guys didn't feel incredible this morning when we were going through our walkthrough. So this was going to be more about toughness and mental toughness and doing whatever was necessary to come out of here with a win. For those of us that have been with the Heat franchise long enough, we know how hard it is to win in this building over the years. You can probably count on one hand us walking out of here with a win, and we will definitely take it.
Speaking of mental toughness, Kyle Lowry, what he went through. First of all, can you tell us what he went to the locker room with, whether it was the groin or the head or?
I think all of the above.
Okay,
Yeah.
and just his mental toughness from that moment to the moments that followed to help you build that 27-point lead.
Yeah, I thought he did a tremendous job controlling the game and the pace and the actions, getting the ball where it needed to go, knowing when to be assertive, when to get guys involved. The entire second half, he was just moving the chess pieces around to put us in a great position. And then guys really stepped up. We were able to play through Bam quite a bit. And we were able to get some cuts and some openings. Duncan, got going, particularly in the first half. And then Tyler was that, go-to guy when we really needed a bucket. We were able to get the ball to him, and he was able to create some actions. And again, Tyler had that layup that went in and out. That right there probably could have just changed the momentum. He was really good at reading the defense and making the appropriate plays.
PJ, you made a couple threes today, but just everything else besides scoring, the line of offensive development,
Yeah,
screening, like we talked
I know.
about. I mean, how much of it?
Yeah, he's just a winning player, and that's probably the shame of it to the average fan. Unless we constantly educate people, no one will have any idea of how many things that he impacts. And you'll notice it when he's on the other team's best player defensively, but it's the blockouts, it's the rotations, it's the protect side defense, and then offensively, just getting people open constantly. And he does it in every way possible, whether he's screening pick and roll basketball or off ball screening. He's just elite, at helping guys get open.
The return to the zone, we didn't see it at all before the Clippers. I think we only saw it exclusively in the first half. Your thought process on that?
Yeah, I thought it was really good for us in the first half. But, the Jazz are a tough team to play against. Obviously, they're really well coached. They move the ball as well as anybody in this league. They have talent. They have guys that fit together, and they're unselfish. So that helped us a little bit manage, that ball movement game. But then in the second half, we were able to just stick to our base defense and mostly just play game.
Jimmy's been out since the first quarter of the Laker game. How much do you think his absence has to do with what's been going on?
No, we don't want to put it on Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy's one of the best closers in the game, and certainly that would help in half court sequences, but we've had more than enough. We've had the right type of things. We just have to, to continue to get better in these situations. Defensively, we're just really poor. Those last 6 minutes, just trying to hold on. I think at any point, 3 straight stops during those final 6 minutes. At any point, 3 straight would have closed the game. But we just continued to allow them to score, get open airspace, drives, fouls. And then you're just putting a lot of pressure on your offense going out the other end. We did some good things offensively. I think that's an improvement. There was just some missed shots, but there was some good, coherent, intentional execution.
I know you guys have to be worried about Duncan, but how good could this result be for him?
I don't want to I like the looks that he was getting before. It's not just about, the final result. And I know it matters to all the fans. I know it matters to him, of course. But one way or another, he creates great reactions or overreactions that help our offense. And today, he's able to get some cuts that really helped us in the second half.
Coach, going back to first half and first quarter, you guys opened the quarter outscoring the Jazz 23-7. Second quarter outscored the Jazz 14-3 to open the quarter. What went right for you specifically from your perspective that allowed those big runs to start each quarter?
We were able to defend the way we're capable of when we're really dialed in. That slowed a little bit of their ball movement, their typical ball movement, and then offensively, really just shared and played off each other. So it was different guys at different times during the game, and I think that's important. Where you're not just trying to, go to specific guys if that's not what's open. It was just taking what's available, and that takes a smart team.
All right, we have one on Zoom. Go ahead, Maddox.
All right, we got Cooper Moorhead, Heat.com. Go ahead.
So you're kind of touching on it there, but 19 of 23 at the rim against Utah is a high number on both sides of that. What can you, it's probably not any one thing, but what can you attribute to getting to the rim so much?
You have to be very intentional with everything. Your details, your screening, your spacing, your execution, and then, of course, they're very good defending your initial actions. So you have to have great poise in the final half of the clock. You have to be really good in those areas, and I think for the most part we were.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was Coach Eric Spoelstra after the Miami Heat win 111-105 against the Utah Jazz. Just the first win for the Miami Heat in this West Coast trip after they lost to the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Los Angeles Clippers. Tonight, against the Oklahoma City Thunder, they'll try to come back to Miami with 2 wins in 5 games in that road trip. Let's read some of you guys' comments. Poke J says 305, let's go. Nicolotti says Hero 40 points tonight. And Jaden Ellis says KZ time. We'll see if KZ Okpala plays any more minutes tonight than he's been given in the past this season. So let's continue with some more press conferences here in a second. The next one, it's going to be PJ Tucker.
Was it a relief, 1, to end the losing streak, and 2, a relief to hear the final buzzer and get out of there after doing so much so well to build that 27-point lead?
It was just the win. Just don't get the wins. Keep thinking about we did the other night. Got up, come back quicker. So something that as a team, we gotta focus on once we get leads, just keep doing the things that we were doing to get the lead and not switch up.
Everyone has come through is talking about how selfless you are and the little things you do. And obviously in the first half, you had more offensive rebounds personally than they did as a team, the screen setting, the other stuff. How much are you enjoying seeing the success of creating success of your teammates?
Yeah, that's what winning is. It's enjoying somebody else's success and knowing that if all my guys get off, if I can get Duncan Robinson shots, if I can get Kyle open, if I can get Tyler open, it makes it easier for me when I get open shots. Then I can do the things that I do. So that's a part of my job.
You're also averaging a career high of 2 offensive rebounds. And is there anything about your role, this team, that's led to that as far as just getting on the glass and getting on the board?
Just have an effect on the game. Some games I don't get shots. Some games I may take 1 shot. But I still got to be able to do my job. I still got to have my footprint on every single game. Every game requires something different, regardless of who's playing. I got to figure out my way to be out there and be effective. And that's a part of winning too. It's not always points or rebounds. It's a lot of things that are not on the stat sheet that help winning.
I know you've been doing this for a long time, but how hard is it to do what you do when you probably don't get the recognition you deserve?
You're never going to get recognition. That's something if you want recognition, then my job is the job of you. That's part of it. You know, I don't care. I don't watch highlights. I don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. There's nothing like hoisting that trophy up, and the things that you do, and knowing that things that you do affect that. Building habits throughout the year to try to figure out what you can do every night to help a team win. Even in losses, you know, things that you could have did and things you want to do better. It's building those things to try to get better, to win games now, to be able to play in the playoffs and have a chance at winning. So, yeah.
All right, thanks.
All right, that was PJ Tucker again after that Miami Heat win 111-105 on Saturday night. Let's continue listening to some of the press conferences as we get ready to watch the Miami Heat facing the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight in Oklahoma, the last game of the 5-game road trip out west for the Miami Heat. They lost the first 3, starting with the Jokic night and then 2 back-to-back tough losses in Los Angeles against the Lakers and Clippers, and now getting ready to come back to Miami. A good win tonight would be awesome to come back to Miami to face the Pelicans and then the Washington Wizards on Wednesday and Thursday on a back-to-back here on FTX Arena. So let's continue with more press conferences here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. The next one, Duncan Robinson, who finally came out of that little slump or good slump that he had in the beginning of the season, and hopefully he continues with that good trend going forward. Here's Duncan Robinson after that 111-105 win by the Miami Heat.
How good did today feel for you? I know you haven't been worried and you know what's coming, but to see some shots go in and obviously get the win.
Yeah, I mean, always nice to see the ball go in. You know, more importantly, to win. You know, especially to kind of stop that little skid we were on. And you know, it's definitely a confidence builder to make some shots. But you know, after that LA trip, I just was gonna go into it just letting it fly. And you know, I got a bunch of great teammates that just want me to be aggressive. So it makes my mind a lot clearer to just go out and do my job.
Duncan, you got the numbers today. Kyle got his numbers. Tyler got his numbers. But what PJ Tucker does for you guys can be so subtle at times. Can you take us inside the locker room, inside the strategy? What don't we see, and what's it like to play with a guy who is so selfless, seemingly?
PJ is amazing. He doesn't care about literally anything but that scoreboard, and he'll do whatever it takes to win. And he comes up to me and says, "My goal is to get you 15 threes." He's just selfless like that. You see the way he competes on defense, rebounds. He just wins all those in-between areas. I mean, he brings a certain level of toughness that I just think sets the tone every single game. So, you know, just in terms of guys I've played with, he's certainly one of my favorites, quickly becoming one of my favorites. I mean, it's hard not to love him as a teammate.
I know you say that, you know, you can go up and down, but you maintain sort of your steadiness and all that. But is that really the case? I mean, were there moments in the last 3-4 days where you were down, where sort of you have to sort of talk yourself back? I mean, are you really as level as you tell us, or is it only natural during the tough times to get down a little?
I mean, you know, I always try to stay even keeled. The reality is, you know, when we lost those 2 in LA, that hurts just because we lost. You know, it's nothing to miss shots, but it's nothing to miss shots and feel like, you know, doing something different could have changed the outcome of the game. So, to be honest with you, like, after going through those 2, it's just like part of me is just kind of impervious to missing, you know. It's like, let's go out there, let it fly. And, you know, I try not to get – just kind of how I'm built. Like, I do get negative on myself, but it's a competitive kind of like expect more. But that's when I kind of lean on other people to pull me out of that. And I got some great people in my corner, but also just great teammates. You know, Jimmy didn't even play today, but the impact he had on the game, just for me between my ears, meant a lot. And you know, I want to keep that between us, but still, I mean, everyone's been great with me. You know, there's never been a wavering confidence in my ability. And, you know, it's not like I forgot how to shoot. You know, it's going to come back around. I expect more of this for sure.
how much better are you at that than you were a few years ago?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it helps to have some equity in the bank. I think that definitely helps, but it's a challenge. But to be honest with you, like it's kind of like what I've prided myself on throughout my career is like being able to take licks, being able to take setbacks, and just keep pushing. It's not easy. There were moments, whatever. There's been moments this year I've gotten down. I mean, I'm human. But like there's never a doubt of like if I'm just gonna keep going, So, and I do have in the back of my mind, no matter what's going on, like I do have a sense of solace knowing that like if I just keep going, the chips will fall where they may, and water will find its level. So.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Don.
All right, that was Duncan Robinson again. A better night the other day against the Utah Jazz. So we have the starting lineup for tonight. Again, no Bam Adebayo or Jimmy Butler available for tonight's game. We have to remember Jimmy Butler's ankle has been hurting since the first game in Los Angeles, and Bam Adebayo had some knee issues. He got to play the last game at Utah, but he's out for tonight's matchup against the Thunder. So the starting lineup is going to be Dwayne Dedmon, PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and Tyler Hero. Dwayne Dedmon, PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and Tyler Hero. That's the starting five for the Miami Heat tonight. Here's Stephen Gomez. Thank you for sharing the starting lineup for tonight, and our friend OD for cases. You can tell him that all the criticism wasn't getting to Duncan, and I'm glad he's finally showing a little bit more toughness. Hopefully, we continue to toughen up mentally and physically. And let me see. Stephen Gomez says, "What's dumb is we're gonna beat these guys easy without our better players." Hopefully that's the case for the Miami Heat. So we have one more, and then we'll get you guys ready to go grab some beer, grab something to eat, and then be ready to watch the Miami Heat tonight. The game should be starting here in about 20 minutes in Oklahoma. So here we go. Last video of today's pregame show. And this is Kyle Lowry.
As painful as it was, can you please take us through the Donovan Mitchell take a charge and what happened after sequence, please?
Tuck does a great job of forcing Don to an early game.
Yeah, the play where you were left.
Oh, yeah. He was coming down fast, and I just wanted to make the play. Tuck did a good job of forcing him down to the paint, and Tuck knew I got it back, and I hit Don kind of try to Euro / go through me and try to get the move off, and he hit me a little bit of elbow by mistake, and it was it's a basketball play. Whatever. I got down, took a second to get my momentum back, my train of thought back.
You look like he hit you in another body part. Is that not the case?
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, I got my kids already. So.
Correct that, sir.
What?
Kyle, you played with BJ before.
Yeah.
But just the impact you're making right now without scoring much, just screening, rebounding, defense.
Yeah, buckets tonight. He had 13, 5 for 6, 3 for 3, and he had 3 from the top and the wing. Man, Tuck is one of the hardest playing guys in the NBA. He should always make an all-defensive team. He's one of those guys who, he took the grind, right? He kept a couple years in the league, went overseas for a while, and then kind of, when he got his opportunity, he took advantage of it. And he's a guy who has no let-up. And no matter how tall he is, he plays at a bigger level, and his intensity is it leads us. His intensity of how he plays, how he handles situations, how he handles guarding people, how he handles his communication is awesome. He's a veteran, and he's a pro. He's a man. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's tough to not want to go to the battlefield with him.
You're one of the guys who played with him on this team. Most of the guys have not. Have you seen teammates that kind of surprise with just the intensity?
No, I think the way he's played against everybody. I think a lot of guys have played against him, they understand what he's going to give you every single night. So I think that it's not really a surprise or not.
Scott had an interesting comment. He said, I'd rather have these kind of problems, have a big lead on the road and find a way to protect it, than the other side of it of having a big deficit and claw my way back. What's your thought on that? And what's your thought on you guys could be such feast or famine that they could be a 17-point lead against the Clippers, a 27-point lead? What happens there? And do you take the glass half full view at the end of it?
I don't know. I mean, I think coach is very cerebral a lot of things. And, it's a good problem to have when you're in you have to lead. But we got to find a way to close it out harder. We got to find a way to be more aggressive, be more assertive, and find a way to finish the game out strong. I think and that with our team, we just got to keep playing. And, we had a moment in the game where we slowed down and we just got to keep pushing, and keep using our pace to our advantage.
We talked about how you like people look together.
Yeah, it was great. Duncan picked the basketball night, so next time let him choose the basketball every single night. But it's good. Like I said, we've had games where we've had a lot of games where we haven't shot the three ball well. Even tonight, we shot 40%. Where we could have shot better. Kyler was 1 for 7. That's not going to happen. I missed a couple. Caleb has a couple wide open ones, but that's games where we'll get going. But just to have the opportunity to have Duncan just keep shooting and get some confidence, and we've continued to build his confidence and keep giving confidence to shoot. And that's 6 for 11. A good night.
In the first half, you guys started out outscoring them in the first quarter, 23-7. The second quarter started out outscoring them 14-3. From your perspective, what went right for you guys during those stretches that you were able to just jump on them quickly at the start of each quarter?
I don't know. I think we just play solid defense. That's a well-coached team, well-playing, hard-playing team. We understand coming into this hostile environment what we were going to get. So if you're not mentally or physically ready to play against these guys, they will whip your butt. But we were physically and mentally ready to go into this game. We lost 3 games on this road trip, 2 of them that we had opportunity to really win. But we just got to continue to build. And tonight was a good building block for us. Take it one game at a time, continue to build on it, and just stay level throughout this whole year. We have some ups and downs, and just keep grinding.
All right, that was Kyle Lowry after that 111-105 win by the Miami Heat on Saturday on the Utah Jazz court. So let's read some of you guys' comments, and then we'll be out of here to go watch the Miami Heat play. OD40K says, let's go Heat. I meant to say, hopefully he continues to toughen up mentally and physically, referring to Duncan Robinson. We got it. And David Smith says, we lose by 45 tonight. Have a good night. Enjoy the game. Remember to join us for the pace and spaces at halftime. As soon as the second quarter is over, go over to Twitter and join us for the pace and spaces there with Sean, with Tony, with Marco. They're going to be doing the pace and spaces show. And then after the game, the post up with Royal Shepherd and the entire crew there that you guys know already. Thank you very much for joining us here. Remember to subscribe, to give it a thumbs up, to leave your comments, and we will see you sometime soon here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Have a good night, enjoy the game, and we will see you later tonight.